Secretary Domingo and other representatives of the Philippine government, distinguished members of the diplomatic community, members of the Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's such a great pleasure to be here with you today. Yes, it has been 2 years since Arangkada, Philippines was produced, and its findings and recommendations remain as relevant today as they were 2 years ago. I would like to congratulate John Forbes, in particular, for being the lead author, but also kudos to everyone who made a contribution to the publication of Arangkada, Philippines. It has truly been a very important and useful document for us, particularly in the US government. Shortly after the release of Arangkada, we, the US government here in the Philippines, engaged the government of the Philippines to begin identifying the constraints to growth and the opportunities for achieving inclusive growth in the Philippines. And Arangkada was one of the key documents that we used in preparing what is now our joint action plan with the Philippine government to implement the Partnership for Growth. Let me just tell you briefly what the Partnership for Growth is. It is a different kind of cooperative development cooperation with the Philippine government. The Philippines is one of only 4 countries in the world that's been selected by the White House to participate in this partnership initiative. It is different in many ways, but key among them is the mobilization of 15 agencies in the US government who will come together to work with the Philippine government to achieve its goal of promoting inclusive and accelerated economic growth. It is also different in that we, along with the Philippine government, identified the basic constraints, or what we call the binding constraints to growth, and the policies and the institutional changes that need to be made in order to achieve this goal. And last November, no one less than the Secretary of State, Secretary Hillary Rodham Clinton, and Ambassador of Foreign Affairs, Alberto Del Rosario, launched the PFG by signing the PFG's Statement of Principles. That is how high a position that we give to the PFG in our development program here in the Philippines. We all know the challenges that inhibit investment in the Philippines. And in the midst of the global economic uncertainty, however, there is reason to be optimistic. However, we need to keep pushing reforms that create barriers to business entry, reforms that make it difficult for businesses to get started, and reforms to improve fiscal performance need to be made. Changes also need to be made to improve the regulatory environment so that we can encourage investors, both domestic and international, come to Manila, come to the Philippines. It is worth noting that while the country's savings rate has improved, investments continue to lag, despite the over 1 trillion pesos in special deposits in the Bangko Sentral of the Philippines. The Philippine government also needs to speed up, accelerate spending and investment in infrastructure, in needed infrastructure, as pointed out by Arangkada, and in human capacity building. These are important to make the Philippines internationally competitive. It is also important, in order to make these investments, that the Philippines improve its tax administration. And the Philippines knows that, and they are committed to doing that. But we look to you in the private sector and the broader civil society to ensure that the ambitious agenda set out by the Philippine government, as articulated in the Philippine Development Plan, the agenda set out in Arangkada, and the agenda set out in the Partnership for Growth come to fruition. You in the private sector play an important role in the success of these initiatives, and the business associations of which you are part are also very important in providing a voice for you to advocate for the needed changes. In partnership with the Philippine government, the private sector, and the donor community, the United States government stands committed to do its part in promoting economic growth in the Philippines. The PFG, or the Partnership for Growth, is the basis for our strong commitment in this development initiative. Through our enhanced bilateral engagement, we hope to help the Philippines achieve its goal of moving from a low-growth path to one that is higher, sustained, and more inclusive. In conclusion, the timing of this forum, which we are very proud to have provided support, could not have come at a more opportune time. Many of us in the Philippine government, in the donor community, and in the business community, have been advocating for changes. And never has there been a time when all the transformational levers that need to be in place are in place. They are here now. And so now is the time to execute what we've all been advocating for in order to capitalize on the comparative advantage that the Philippines has to offer. I want to thank you all for your participation today, and I look forward to learning from you as the day goes by. Thank you so much, and again, welcome to this forum.